Demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And today I'm here to demonstrate for you a card that I've created using this True Beauty bundle. And it's really beautiful, and it's got a very watercolor look to it. It's actually got quite a bit of elegance to it. So I'm really excited to share that with you. Let's say before I turn the camera down, I want to tell you that we have a buy one, get one half off on kits, pre-made kits that you can order through stampinup.com. So that's one thing I wanted to tell you. We have that promotion going on through the end of the month. If you have kiddos and you have any thoughts that you need to have something in your back pocket for entertaining your kids, maybe on a rainy day during the summer or something like that, it's a really good opportunity to grab some of those kits and have them on hand. So again, they're buy one, get one half off at stampinup.com. The only other thing that I was going to mention to you before I turn the camera down is next month we start promoting our new mini catalog that's July through December. I guess there's two things I need to tell you. Anyway, this one goes July through December, and the first 2 months of that, there's a celebration. If you do not already work with a demonstrator, and if you would like a catalog, my catalogs are due to arrive tomorrow. I am prepping them to send out to my customers, but I would love to send a catalog to you. You need to be in the United States. I can only sell to people in the United States. So let me know if you're interested, and I would be glad to do that for you. With that catalog going live at the beginning of next month, at the end of this month, our January through June catalog is expiring. So the retiring list has come out. The last chance products list has been populated, and it is on stampinup.com. Go under specials, do the drop down menu, and you will see last chance products list. Many items are discounted. They're being promoted to be gotten rid of. Everything is on a first come first serve basis. They're not ordering anymore. So when they're gone, they're gone. There's another word for that, but it went out of my head. Anyway, I'm going to turn the camera down so that I can get started showing you this card. This card I made using the designer series paper. So I'm going to show you the card, I'm going to show you the stamp set, and then I'm going to show you the designer series paper that I used to create the card. But then, instead of recreating the card that I've already made, I'm going to make the same card using stamps and dies. Or excuse me, stamps and ink and dies. Anyway, I'll show you. I'm turning the camera down now. And please be patient with me. This is my first YouTube Live. I've always done Facebook Live. So, camera going down. And hopefully getting that nice and secure. It feels like it. All right. Move everything over just a little bit. So here is the card I'm going to show you today. Isn't that pretty? So I've got some so saffron colored cardstock. I've used some basic white. I've used some pearlescent specialty paper. And then these flowers and leaves were created from the designer series paper that coordinates with the True Beauty stamp set. And the name of the designer series paper that I'm going to show you is called A Wash in Beauty. These are so this is a red rubber. Most of my stamps are already mounted on blocks, but it's red rubber. Get some beautiful images. And these are the dies that come in the bundle. Aren't those awesome? So now, and I'm just going to show you, instead of using a sentiment that came out of the True Beauty, I pulled a sentiment from Charming Sentiments. So here's the Awash with Beauty. Just gonna do just a really quick show. If you want to see anything up close, I recommend going on to Stampin'Up.com, picking up the Awash, excuse me, pulling up the Awash with Beauty designer series paper, and you can click through. Excuse me, I have a little tickle in my throat. You can click through and you can see the images in full big picture on your computer. So I'm going to take a sip. So this particular, so there's two each of the pages I just showed you. This particular page, the dies that come in the bundle cut out these flowers. So that's how I made this card. The one that I've showed you that's already made. All of the images on here can be cut out using these dies. What's wonderful is that the stamps also use the same dies. So I've made the card using the designer series paper, and actually the inside is stamped. Isn't that lovely? And then I'll show you some of the other elements that I've added in here. Silly tickle in my throat. Haven't coughed in hours, and of course I'm gonna cough now. All right. All right. So I'm gonna move some stuff aside here and show you, oh, and then one thing I wanted to show you about the Charming Sentiments real quick too, is the Charming Sentiments, not only do they have all these really cool sentiments like, you know, everything will be okay, or beyond grateful, hey there, super fantastic, mega news, babies are a blessing, but they come with these dies that cut them out so that they look like they've been fussy cut. And then there's a few other dies that come in the set as well, but they look like they've been fussy cut. So if you see my sentiment here, that is actually cut out with a die, and I happen to be a fussy cutter myself, but anyway, so wanted to share that with you. Charming Sentiments. But this is new in the new annual catalog. All right, so the first thing I wanted to show you, so all of the dimensions and the cutting instructions are over on my blog at teahwoodward.blogspot.com. I will put that information in the description of this video, as well as my host code for the month. So, but I will give you a couple of just quickie measurements, and that is, this is, the card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Then my mat on the front of this card is a piece of gold foil, and that's 4 by 5 1/4. Then my card front is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Now, just to speed things along a little bit, I have already die cut this background that you see here. I've already die cut this out. And what I want to make sure that you know is you should absolutely, positively, in my personal opinion, use the adhesive sheet on the back. So this is the pearlescent paper. I measured it just a little bit bigger than the actual die. So this is the die. I applied adhesive sheet across the back. So you just peel off one side of the carrier, and then you leave the other on there. You put your die on the pearlescent side so that the adhesive sheet is on the back. And now this is basically a sticker. I'm going to be able to pull this off in one pull. I've made it a little bit bigger than my background. And then after it's applied, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut those off super quick, and so quick that we're going to do it now. All of these little pieces have to be knocked out, and that's why I did this ahead of time, was so that you didn't have to watch me knock out every single little piece that was on this die. It's not that big of a deal to do it when it's just you, but when you've got people watching, they could get bored real quick. So, all right. I meant for that to be a little bit over, but that's okay. Now I have to make that go a little bit farther over, so thankfully I had not pressed that hard yet. Let me try that again. And I'm getting just a little bit crooked. I'm not sure how that's happening. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to lay this down on top of it. There, I've got better control now. Or I feel like I do. This is funny. I actually have one already made. There we go. All right. There we go. Now I just come in with my paper snips. Actually, before I come in with my paper snips, it looks like I stretched one a little bit. Before I come in with my paper snips, I'm just going to take the edge of my bone folder and I'm going to get that good and stuck down. And I'm just doing that from the back side. There. And I'm just going to snip, snip all the way around. So I am located in Vancouver, Washington, and it has been raining like cats and dogs here. And today, yes, it rained this morning. My husband said it did. I didn't see it. And today we have the first day of a couple of day warming spell, and we are grateful for that. Come on. I'm just going right along the edge of the cardstock. I'm not trying to do anything fancy here. Oh, I didn't quite cut that, did I? Let me go back and do that again. A little crazy to do this stuck out in front of yourself. All right, there we go. Looks like I could still trim one little section. There we go. Of course it landed in the carpet, so I had to pick it up so that I didn't step in it. There. Now that is ready. I had one all ready to go just in case that I had any issue, but I didn't. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to that gold mat. And you don't need a ton. I like the green glue because it allows me to wiggle things until I get them just right. And remember, that's just 1/8 of an inch smaller. There we go. This blog post will go live at 3 o'clock today. I do wish I had trimmed that ever so slightly closer, but I'm not sure if I can get my scissors in there now or not. There we go. All right, I'm just going to flip that over and give that a little press. When this goes on the front of here, it's going to go on with dimensionals on the back. Set that aside. What I like about this pearlescent paper is that it's a slight off-white, and so it goes really nice. It kind of diffuses the bright white, which is nice and clean, but it kind of blends it nicely with this gold foil, and then everything blends nicely with this So Saffron. This has not been one of my favorite colors in the past, but I really, really enjoy how this is going together. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some cardstock, do a little bit of stamping, and then I have my die cutter, my cut and emboss machine, stamp and cut and emboss machine off to one side here. So I need a couple of roses, I need 2 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these. So I'm just going to start stamping a few items here. I'm using polished pink. I don't know why I'm opening my stamp case. I already had everything mounted. And my polished pink is quite juicy, so I'm just kind of pushing the ink to one side a little bit so I don't get that pitted look on my stamped image. So I'm going to stamp a couple of roses. Sorry, and on the back side I had one of my other flowers. Hopefully I didn't get that one too close to the edge. No, I think that's going to be fine. Take that off and I'll stamp my other little flower. You know, today's the first day, or yesterday was the first day that I actually used these stamps. But I didn't use all of them. I only used the rose and the leaf, and I just realized I hadn't. Oh, that turned out good. Hadn't washed off that little film that comes on your stamps. You can just run that across your your chamois, and then you're good to go. Set that aside. Let's see if I can get 2 of these on one page. I think I can. Yep. Now, this one I didn't experiment ahead of time, so I'm going to, on my piece of grid paper, I'm going to just test it. Do I like it in that color, or do I want it stamped off? I think I want it stamped off. I'm liking this lighter better than the darker. Both would go well. So I'm going to stamp off. And stamp off. Okay, there's a little halo here, but that's okay. I'm going to use a die to cut this out and that halo will disappear. And then I just need a couple of leaves. To save time, I did pre-cut a couple of the vellum and the pearlescent elements that I have on these cards. Show you those in just a minute. So I need 2 sets of leaves. And I think that looks good. So that is the stamping that I'll be die cutting. I could go ahead, oh, I just realized, I think I grabbed my, my inner card. Well, I'll go ahead and work on the outside and then I'll go back to stamping on the inside. That was silly. Move my stamps out of the way. I'm looking here for, I know I had a little piece cut out too for my sentiment, but I have obviously moved something around when I shouldn't have. I'm kind of notorious for that. Okay, so I'm going to quit looking for that, and I will do that last, or at the same time that I go to stamp the inside. Okay, so I have, here are the dies that I will be using. I just realized, I bet I could, well, actually I don't know. I'm only using my phone for videoing this, so if anyone's making a comment and I'm not replying, it's because I don't see it. So my apologies. This is my first time doing the YouTube Live. And when I was doing some investigating, I realized I probably really need to get to use a secondary software so that I can see comments. But my other social media platform was not working anymore, so had to make some changes. They were making it so that I couldn't upload to YouTube, which was not acceptable. And I was out of town over the weekend, so I didn't have a chance to do any research on this. But I didn't want to miss my regularly scheduled Monday, so I'm here. I am here. And I am going with the flow. And I thank anybody who goes along the flow with me. All right. I'm going to run these through my die cut machine. I'm not going to pull it over here and make you look at everything up close. So that just went through. Let's see. And it hyper pressed my tape on because I just realized I was using my, probably the wrong sandwich for a good, oh, that turned out beautiful. That's very nicely centered. I don't normally, my tape does not normally peel my paper. I'm not sure why that's happening. Get through this stage real quick, and then the card just flies together. All right, so that was the last one of those flowers that I needed. I will die cut. I don't feel like that's turned right. Let's try that again. No, it looks like it is. No, it's not. Let's turn that around. That looks like a better fit. Got a new car last week. We took it on a little road trip this weekend and absolutely love it. So that was pretty awesome. I had kept my last car. I am somebody who prefers to use things up than to get new things. There's lots of people that look at things different ways, and that's just my way. Anyway, my other car was 15 years old, so it was time. It was way time. All right. Run these through. And just one more to cut out. Oh, that one didn't cut all the way through. Why would that be? I must not have had that on the sandwich well. I've not had that problem before. I must have even been off of the edge, because I've never had that happen before. We'll just do a little trimmy trim. There we go. Totally useful. And done with that. Second set of leaves. And just turn around and use this die one more time. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, that stamp off worked real good. So I've been a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Since August of 2019. I joined for the discount, had a friend that knew way more about Stampin' Up! Than I did, and she asked to have a party, and I wasn't excited about doing that, but said that I would, and I did, and I absolutely fell in love with teaching, showing people how to stamp. Absolutely rocked my world. Gonna run this through the die cut. So I have been teaching ever since February of 2020. Absolutely love everything about it. I have met some pretty outstanding people, and I have been told that I've made a difference in some people's lives, that during COVID, when they were feeling very alienated and such, that they felt like they had somebody to look forward to talking to or seeing online, and learning some new skills and that sort of thing. So anyway, it's made a difference in my life, and I feel like it's made a big difference in some other people's lives as well. All right, so here are our components. And then these are two little pieces that I die cut out of the pearlescent paper. And then here are two pieces that I cut out of vellum. So now I'm just going to go ahead and start applying these to the card. So I'm going to take one. We're going to see how close these end up looking like each other. These first couple layers I actually am just adhering flat down with no dimensionals or anything. So I'll take this first one, angle it along these lines. I'm going to give that a little hold because I do have dimension on here with this grid that I die cut and applied on there. So just giving that just a little extra help to hold down. All right. And then we'll do this one. About like that. I'll hold that down for just a second. All right. Next, I am going to use a couple of mini glue dots. On these vellum pieces. So I'm going to stick that one there. And this one here. And I'm going to layer it on, but I'm going to offset it a little bit so it sticks off to one side just a little bit. And grab the other one and do the same thing. I'm just using a couple, and I'm placing them in locations that I believe are going to be covered up. Covered up. So that looks nice. And then next I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive. If I had been thinking, I would have die cut these with the adhesive sheet on the back, but I didn't. And I don't necessarily want every little point to be connected or, adhered down. So I'm going to go to the opposite side of where I put the vellum and just tap that down. So our new car is a 2022 Teah VW, and it's got so many, like I said before, my old car was 15 years old. So I didn't have any of the bells and whistles that exist now. It's kind of funny how much I didn't have, like backup assist and things like that. I didn't have anything like that. So I feel like I'm having to learn where all I need to be putting my eyes, because it's different than I was used to. Okay, I'm going to do a single layer of dimensionals on this flower up here. Excuse me. And then I'm going to use a single layer of dimensionals on this flower that's going to hang off to one side over here. All right, so that's going to go something like that. Might be a little bit high, but that's all right. Then I'm going to put 2 layers of dimensionals on the back of this one. So let's see, I want to make sure I get my rows going in the opposite direction of how that one was going. So I'm going to put my dimensionals over here. A single layer over here. There we go. So the single layer is going to sit on top of this flower, and these are going to sit something like that. They can have a little bit of space in between these two sets of flowers. Now I'm going to use mini glue dots on the back of these leaves. I'm just going to use two, one behind each leaf. And I'm going to tuck that in right about in there. That looks nice. And then I'm going to grab and coming in behind both flowers, but it's going to look like it's coming off of the rose. Oops, let's see. Behind, there we go. About like such. There we go. All right. So now we have all of those elements on here. I'm going to go ahead and apply this to the front of this card base using dimensionals. And I'm going to use a lot because I do. That's just how I choose to do it. Oops. There we go. Pull these off. That one doesn't want to come off. Got it. All right, this is now ready to be centered. Make sure I know which way my card is opening. So this is a top fold card. There we go. Now I am going to correct the little mistake that I made, and that was that I used up, I must have dropped that other piece that I had cut for to do my sentiment with, but that's all right. I happen to have my paper trimmer here real close. Sorry for that big snappy noise. My paper trimmer is right here, so I can cut down so my inner card is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. Sorry, this was cut. I grabbed it and did my stamping on it. So that's my inner card, and then I'm just going to take off. That should be plenty big for my sentiment. All right, so my sentiment is heat embossed. So I am going to start off by using my embossing buddy. So an embossing buddy is this little pouch that's filled with talcum of sorts. And what it does is it gets all the static electricity off of your paper before you apply any ink or any of the powder, because the powder has quite a bit of static electricity in it. All right, so there is that. Taking my Versamark, And I'm using Thank You from the Charming Sentiments bundle. And I'm getting a fair amount of Versamark on there because I feel like the last one that I did maybe was a little on the thin side. And I ended up with kind of a rough looking heat emboss. So there is my Versamark. Now I'm going to come in with my Stampin' Gold, my Stampin' Up Gold, excuse me, it's Gold Stampin' Emboss Powder. Just pouring that over the top, giving it a good shake to it here. And that's actually looking pretty good. That's looking very good, as a matter of fact. I'm going to dump this spare powder right back into the jar. No reason not to. Perfectly good, not contaminated. And then I'm going to use my heat gun. This won't take but just a minute to heat up my heat gun. Hopefully that's not too loud. Can you see it turning? It's smoothing out. Whoops. I'm just going to heat it from the back just to straighten out the paper a little bit because the paper warped just a little from the heat. Here we go. Now I'm going to take that die. Remember I showed you that the Charming Sentiments bundle came with these dies that make it look like you've fussy cut. So I'm going to put that on here, run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. That looks pretty good. I feel like I moved it, so I'm going to look. No. Felt like I moved it again, but I'm going to trust. That was the last item that we have to cut. Well, assuming I got it straight, of course. If I got it crooked, I'll have to do it again. It's not as straight as I would like, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to see how crooked it is. So it did move a little bit when I thought that it did. So this is going to go in the center here, but because we have, see, I think that's going to be fine. All right, so on the U portion, I'm going to put one set of dimensionals, and on the Thank portion, I'm going to put 2 sets of dimensionals because this is stepped up. This is 2 layers thick. That's 1 layer thick. Okay, so that's how I'm going to do that. And I should have had my mini dimensionals so that I can put, like I said, on the U section, oops, On the U section, I'm putting 1 layer, and on the thank section, I'm putting 2 layers thick. I'm really well known for using lots of dimensionals. And that one I need to move just a little bit because it's probably going to show. There we go. All right. Friends, we just have to place this, put our gems on, stamp the inside of the card, and we are done. So that's how that's going to sit. Just like that. Ooh, that's crooked. Holy man. Let's try that again. Let's straighten that out. There we go. That's better. Now I could show you that I did look at putting a bow on here, but it made it look very wedding-y instead of a thank you card like I wanted, so that's why I'm not using it. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you die cut that designer series paper, make sure you save the extra pieces in a baggie so that they're on the ready for you when it's time for you to use them. So next, I am going to apply some of these, the 2021 through 2023 in color opal rounds. Polished pink is one of the colors that's in here. That's what I used for the flowers. I'm going to use my take your pick tool. I like to use this clay end to pick up my my gems. I just pulled off that little used piece. There we go. And I think I can show you. So I just use that little, can you see that? That little clay tip that's right on there? I just use that to pick up the gem. And I'm going to put one of these up here and one of these right there and one of these down here. So when it comes to how similar they look, look at that. This one was done with designer series paper. This one was done with stamps and ink. Pretty nice, huh? They look very, very similar. I am going to stamp that inner card real quick. See, I must have put my rose away. I sure did. And I just need one rose. I'm going to put it in this lower corner over here. I'm okay that that went off the edge because some of my leaves are going to do the same. Grab that Granny Apple Green. There we go. So I'm going to kind of snuggle those up there and do the same over here. And there we go, there's the inside of our card. See, and so you can't, even though I went off the edge here, because I went off the edge in those two locations, it looks perfectly fine. We'll adhere this to the inside. And there we go. I mean, see how easy that set is to use? Whether you choose to use the designer series paper or you decide that you want to use the stamps and ink, both are absolutely lovely choices. And there. What do you think? Do you like that? Can you tell which one is designer series paper and which one is stamps and ink? I think that's pretty sweet how we can do that. Friends, I thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate every single one of you. If you need if you want to get on my mailing list, I will be posting that in the description of this video after I'm done. The blog post to show how to make these cards goes live at 3 o'clock today at teahwoodward.blogspot.com. That will also be posted on in the description. All right. Thank you for joining me today. Biggest hugs. Have a wonderful day.